Hey, what's going on, guys? So I have a little bit of a different format video for you today. I'm actually in Cancun for a wedding at the moment. We just had the ceremony. Now we have like a little 4-hour gap, and then we have an after party, like pool party later. So I have a really tough time taking time away from work, whether it be building videos or writing for the site. So I did want to get up a first impressions video on these Reebok Floatride Energy 4 running shoes. The 3s were one of my favorite budget-friendly running shoes to date, so I'm super stoked to share some thoughts on the 4s. So I plan to get like a nice 4 to 5 mile run in them and then come back and share some thoughts. And then towards the end of this video, I will be doing a little bit of vlog content and with some training content. So if you want to check out any of that, just stick around to the end. I wanted to put it towards the end though, so I didn't have to bog you down if you're only interested in the first impressions for this vid. But that being said, I'm gonna go get a run in this model. It is pretty dang hot here in Cancun, so hopefully I don't die, but I will see you guys after to talk on some first impressions for the Reebok Floatride Energy 4. It's hot. Cancun heat. Whew. I'm not used to this. Denver's elevation and more mild temperature is definitely a change from the Cancun heat, especially running midday, which is obviously not ideal, but you gotta sneak it in when you can. I'm gonna hop in a cold shower and then share some thoughts on the shoes. I ended up doing a 5K with different mile speeds. I was trying to keep my heart rate in a certain range. It did not last for that long, especially towards the end, and it started, like, the heat pretty much started to kick my ass, but I'll see you guys in like 2 seconds. Whew, that was a hot run. So 4 first impressions that I have with the Reebok Floatride Energy 4 is number 1, the core construction of this model is very similar to the Floatride Energy 3. So we have a similar outsole, midsole, and kind of just like overall fit and feel with this model. The upper has been reworked a little bit, and there is more recycled materials in this model, which I think is cool. But as a whole, this model remains relatively unchanged from the 3, which takes me into my second first impression. I think as a whole, the Floatride Energy line is honestly one of the better everyday running shoes, especially for the price point. So if you're somebody like myself who's a bit more recreational with their running and they like to just range from shorter to like more mid-range runs and sometimes here and there a recovery long run, these can be a really good model to look into. Plus, at a price of around $110 USD, I think that is plenty fair for what this shoe delivers. Now, what I will say is that since this shoe is so similar to the 3, I would actually say go with the 3 option if you can, because more than likely they are on sale. They've been having a lot of steep deals in some of their colorways. So if you're on the fence of the Reebok Floatride Energy shoes, I would say go for the 3 versus the 4 at this moment, just because you could probably save a little bit on your model, and honestly, the core construction in this shoe is very similar. My third first impression with this model is that I do like this textile upper construction, and that this model is made with 30% recycled materials. I'm in Cancun right now running in some seriously hot temperatures, and as a whole, the shoe breathes pretty well. Like, I only did a faster 5K, and my mile times range between like 6:40 and 8:10, so it wasn't like a super long run, but for that run, my feet never felt like they were overheating, despite my face definitely looking red and definitely being overheated. So I do like the upper construction in this model. So then my fourth first impression revolves around the shoe's performance. So the Floatride Energy Foam midsole, I'm a fan of. It gives you a nice level of pop, and the shoe, honestly, on my first run, felt pretty broken in. It did not take a ton of time to break in or like feel like very clunky or stiff at times, so the midsole does move pretty well, which I personally like. So I think if you're somebody who wants to do like short, mid-range, and even some longer runs in your running shoes, this could be a good option to look into. Some folks love them for longer runs, while others like them more for shorter and mid-range runs. So I think that really does come down to your preference in regard to how much stack height and midsole material you want in your shoes. I also like this model for some lighter training. So if you're gonna do some body weight work or some lighter dumbbell or kettlebell work and kind of do like more hybrid style training sessions, this could be a good option to look into. And in regard to sizing, these fit pretty dang true. They do run a tiny bit long, but not enough to where I would say size down necessarily. Unless you have like a super narrow foot, then you may want to size down a half size, but for most folks, I think this model will fit true to size and serve as a really good just everyday running shoe. Yo, does anybody anybody else get freaked out by the ocean? Like, the ocean scares the living shit out of me. And I know that I've met some other folks who have like had similar feelings about the ocean. I think it's like the expansiveness of it and how little we kind of know about it that freaks me out. But if the ocean freaks you out, let me know in the comments below and let me know why. Because I think why I'm freaked out by it is just how massive it is, how absolutely massive our ocean is, and like how big some of the fish are and creatures are in the ocean. It freaks me out. All right, so we had a good hour to train today after our run. So we had the wedding ceremony this morning. I went for a run, ate a snack, and then hit the gym. And because we have a pool party later, you know, we had to hit traps, buys, and back. We needed a bro session basically. Plus I haven't trained in a couple of days, and I just wanted to get a nice pump session for my back, buys, and upper back for that matter. So started with the seated cable row, then went into this neutral dual cable lat pull down variation. I personally love this variation, and I'll typically opt for it over the traditional lat pull down bar because we can keep the humerus a little bit tighter to the body. I think it's a little bit easier to create more of a lat bias in addition to the upper back bias we're creating with this variation. So I personally have been loving it. Then I went into this single arm cable row. Now this variation has been absolutely killer and been one of my favorites for building my lats over my last couple of training blocks. Now usually I'll perform this standing up and I'll brace into like a standing incline bench or like an incline bench for that matter, but obviously we didn't have that available today, so I did this kneeling variation where I put my hip into the pad so I could brace into that. I had to keep it a little bit lighter obviously because the brace is not the same, but I have been loving this variation for really building up those thoracic lat fibers, so basically like the girthy lat fibers that we have throughout the mid back. I would highly suggest adding these in if you want. Keep that humerus tight to the body and just blast your lats. I then went into this cable trap variation. Basically the way I've been using this and the way I've been like theorizing the use of this is when we look at the trap fibers, they are not just straight up vertical. There are a lot of fibers that actually move in a diagonal fashion. So adding this in theory could potentially be a little bit better for hitting some of those trap fibers that we might not be able to hit with the traditional dumbbell and barbell shrug. I then went into this upper back variation, so a single arm cable row. I was bracing against the machine, and with this variation, it was mostly just to get a nice little upper back pump. I wasn't necessarily using this or trying to be super specific with my range of motion. I just wanted to move through a different range of motion in regard to how I was tracking that humerus and creating a nice rowing movement pattern. I then finished with a superset for buys. We did a single facing cable arm row, so basically single arm cable row. God, I can't speak today. Basically, yeah, hit this for 8, turned around, and then hit the lean away cable row. This is nice because it's nice and efficient. We're training the bicep through a couple different ranges. So we're doing a shortened bias and then we're doing a lengthened bias. So if you need to hit the buys and you need to be efficient with your training, like this, I only did 2 bi exercises and then I left. That is a killer superset. I would highly suggest trying it out. So a quick little room tour before we wrap this vlog up. So you walk in our room, come here to the left. Nice big bathroom here. We have an indoor shower with a nice big seat, so that's pretty nice. But then we also have this outdoor shower. That has been awesome. I've been taking some nice cold showers out there. Been pretty phenomenal. I wish we had one in Denver. We have a big living area, nice big king size bed. And then we come over here. We have a nice big tub. And then looking out here, we have a nice patio area that goes in this pool. And so basically like this pool does like a nice lap around. And then there's like a bar over there in a main pool area. That's actually where we have the reception for the party later, or the wedding for that matter. But overall, normally we don't do the resort life when we're going on vacations basically. So it is always nice to do this for weddings here and there because you get exposed to like that resort life, which we don't normally do. But I'm gonna wrap the vlog up here. I am pretty freaking hungry and out of it. If you can't tell, I'm probably sunburned and super red, so that's cool. I'm gonna pay the price later for that one. But guys, yeah, I really appreciate you watching this one. It's been really difficult actually taking time away from work and filming and being on the computer all the time. So this trip has definitely had like its highs and lows. Great that like the highs have been obviously the wedding and like hanging out with folks, but the lows have been the mental stress that I think comes along with trying to build a business and then not stressing when you're not working. That all being said, guys, I hope you have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this video a little bit, just giving you a little bit of a glimpse outside of just shoe reviews into my life. But as always, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. And if you have any questions on the Reebok Floatride Energy 4, drop a comment down below. I will have a full video review of those probably next week or the week after.